Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is jfuruness, and in this video, I'll be going over a more detailed version of the setup.py file, along with showing you how, by typing any bash command that you choose, you will be able to run certain functions in your package. Super cool stuff. Let's dive in. Just going to minimize this here so you can see the screen better. And there we go. So you guys probably remember this setup.py file from part 3. If you haven't watched that, I definitely recommend that you do. Here you have the basic metadata for this that you can include or not include if you think it will make it more readable. This is the README file. That will be where a lot of your documentation goes. Here in this section, we don't have it. We're going to discuss that in section 6. So feel free to skip ahead to that video, but for now I've commented this line out. And here is the setup function. So again, this just runs off of a giant list of keywords. We've discussed a couple of them in the last video, and I'm going to go over a lot more of them now. These are many of them optional, non-optional ones. Take a look at your last video, part 3. But for this video, I'll go over many optional keyword arguments that you can include if you think it will help people out. So, of course, you have your name of your package, your author. If you have more than one author, you can just put them here with a comma, like that. You can't use a list or else the setup.py file will complain. Author email, that's just the emails of the authors. You have your maintainer, your maintainer's email, and that's where you should go for bug fixes or anything like that. Your versioning, again, we discussed this more in detail in part 3, but the short version is that the left number here is for major releases or a breakage in backwards compatibility. The middle number here is for new features or minor releases, and the last number is for very, very minor tweaks. Maybe you fixed a typo or something like that. Then you have the URL for the package and the download URL. Usually for me, this is just a GitHub link. You'll have your keywords. These are things that people looking up your package can find on PyPy. So if they're looking up like work login package, then maybe it will see my keyword and my script will be one of the search results. I don't put any weight into this. It really doesn't matter. Nobody uses my packages, so it doesn't make a difference. Your license, depending on which license you choose, feel free to list the type of license here. I don't know what the good licenses are, so if BSD isn't the best one, that's fine. It's just an open source license. You'll have your description. This is a short description. And then you'll have your longer description. These are commented out because, again, we don't have a README in this section. We're going to go over that in part 6. After that, you can include project URLs. These are just any URLs that might be useful to your project. This doesn't relate to our project in any way, but I figured I'd just put it here. As an example, this is a bug tracker URL, and then you could just put the link to maybe a Jira board or a GitHub issue board or something like that here. You have your Python requires, so maybe it's Python 2, maybe you need Python 3.8 and up. You can list that here. This just finds your packages. This includes package data. Your install requires, that is simply a list of dependencies that you install. We went over this more in depth in part 3, so feel free to watch that if you haven't already. Then you'll have your classifiers. These are just basic metadata for your script that can let a person know more about it. For example, you can see here I have the operating system of the script. So somebody reading this might go, oh yeah, this is clearly for Linux. I cannot run this on a Windows machine. Usually, though, you'll include a lot of this in your README file and stuff like that. But it's a quick, easy summary. Then, and this part is super cool, you'll have this thing called entry points. I don't know why they've done it this way, but it is a dictionary, and in that dictionary, you'll have a keyword called console scripts. And in that keyword, you'll have a list of functions. And the functions have to be formatted exactly in this way. And the way is this. On the left side, you will have a bash command that you choose. This can be anything at all. You could say, it doesn't have to be login. It could be my login. It could be whatever. It doesn't make a difference. Any bash command that you pick, you write on the left side. And then you have your equal sign. And then on the right side, you have the function. So you start in the topmost folder. Then you have a dot, your main file, and then the main function. Again, you could point this to any file and any function in that file, so long as it's not a class function. What this will do is when somebody types the login bash command and hits enter, it will run the main function of your program. And you'll notice here I have the same thing, another function here called configure. It basically does the same thing. When you type in configure, it points to the main file, which runs the configure function. Now this is super, super cool and usually really useful for packages, because oftentimes for a package, you aren't going to want to write out a file just to run some code, right? Like for example, with this script, it just logs me in. So what am I going to do? Every time I want to run this, write a file that just says from libwork login, import login. Like I have a test.py here, right? And all this script has is from my package, import the class, and then run it. It's just annoying to do that every single time you want to run code. So instead of doing that, if I first install this here, source env, let me just activate my Python environment. Activate. If I, instead of doing that, just do Python 3, setup.py, develop. There we go. And now when I run login, that's it. And I don't need a script to do anything else. And I can do the same thing with configure or any other function that is in my setup.py. So again, this is all the way here in the entry points. And that is because login is on the left. That is the bash command. So the bash command goes on the left side. On the right side, you point to the function. Again, super, super useful. It allows people to use your programs without having to write any code, which is really, really nice. I definitely recommend always having one or two of these entry points here. Then we have the setup requires and test requires keyword arguments. We're going to go over this in a much later video that focuses on PyTest. You don't have to worry about it now. Basically, it is just something that allows you to not have to install PyTest to run your tests. But again, don't worry about that now. We're going to cover that in a much, much later video. And with that, I think that's all for the setup.py file. This is about as complex as it gets. If you want to look at more keyword arguments, I have this Stack Overflow answer, which includes all of them. There are, I can enlarge this here, but you can see that there are a lot of different keyword arguments that you can include. And this also has a description of all of them. So just gonna go ahead just to give you an idea of the ridiculous number of arguments. It's huge, right? So definitely check that out if you're interested. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning into the video. Thank you so much for watching the video. It really means a lot to me. If you could leave a like, that really would do a lot of good for such a small channel like mine. Also, feel free to hit that subscribe with the notification bell for more future content. If you have any questions, comments, topics you want to be covered, feel free to comment down below and I will respond to all the comments. If you want private tutoring or consulting, my email is in the description. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you next time.